Well, I could take you all the way back to 1984. I was 14 years old at the time, and I was at home. The phone rang, and I answered it. Hi, and the woman said, "Honey, find your mom. There's been an accident." My dad was an electrician at U.S. Steel, and he was working on a big electrical panel, and it didn't get tagged right. So while he was in there, someone turned it on, and boom, it exploded, caught him on fire, third-degree burns,
Oh
40% of
my
his
goodness.
body. Yeah, it was pretty bad, and so he spent the next 3 months in a Loyola burn unit, and we moved in with our grandparents, my sister and me, and we weren't sure that he was even going to make it. It was a pretty traumatic experience, and everybody goes through what I call big T and little T traumas. Little T traumas are being embarrassed, not getting picked to be on the team, being humiliated in front of the classroom, and that's where most fear of public speaking is formed. And so, and then the
Sure.
big T traumas, death, abuses of various kinds, things like that. So he did make it, and he had lots of scars on the outside, but,
Mm.
he was always the kind of guy that would take his shirt off and go for a swim in the summer and didn't care. And I always thought that was pretty amazing. But we
Wow.
all develop scars on the inside too. And we all have these little scars, and it's not just the experiences that I've learned over 34 years now of studying us humans. It's not just the experiences we go through, it's the beliefs that form in our unconscious mind about what we think those experiences mean. And your brain forms those beliefs on its own without your permission. And
Mm.
most of those beliefs, because we're kids, when we experience it, we have a kid-like brain that's giving us beliefs about ourselves, about others, about the world around us that we're going to use as adults. So much of the anxiety that we have, the self-sabotage, the struggles that we have with our health, with our money, with our relationships, are because we have these unconscious beliefs floating around in the hard
Yeah.
drive of our brain that we don't even know is there. So I had lots of anxiety, lots of fear that the next bad thing could happen at any time. The rug was going to be yanked
Sure.
out. I wasn't playing life to win, Zach. I was playing not to lose. How do I not lose? How do I not lose? And when you play not to lose, you feel like you're losing, even if you're winning. It was never enough, never had enough time, never had enough money, never had enough people that liked me or whatever it may have been. And so I went to school for psychology for years and found that I learned a lot of data, but it didn't really teach me how to create fast, rapid change that would last. How do you feel
Yeah.
good now?
Yeah.
Not 10 years from now. And so, oh, I'm sorry, I thought that was off.
No worries.
So anyway,
Actually, so
so
Tim, can you
yeah.
can you back up just a second though? First of all, I really appreciate you sharing a really personal moment growing up and talk about big T trauma. Like
Yeah.
I've never experienced that, with my parents. I've been fortunate. My parents are healthy, and my big T trauma was around divorce. My dad disappeared from my life and really have no relationship with him even to this day. But
Yeah.
I was curious because you talked about, okay, it creates this unconscious belief as kids that then we bring that into our adult life. But do you have any memory at that time, like in the days or months, years that surrounded the accident, of any of that belief forming? Or was it your dad speaking to you that formed the belief? Or was it just culture and society? Or do you just sort of all on your own adopted this kind of play not to lose mentality? I just like, what was happening then? Do you remember anything about what you were actually at least consciously aware of?
What a brilliant question. I know you're known for your brilliant questions. So, no, I had no idea that was happening. It was all
Okay.
happening unconsciously, or people might use the word subconsciously, but it was out of my awareness. I did not know that that was happening. I didn't understand. I didn't know I had anxiety. All I know was that I was scared a lot. And I was always worried that bad things were going to happen. And then when you go through life being scared, I attracted a lot of bullies, so then I had more things to be afraid of. And then, your own best friend, when there's you and your friend, your life is wonderful. And then a third person shows up, another friend, and then all of a sudden those two friends like turn on you, and so people have had those experiences. I know I did. And then
Oh
suddenly your best
goodness.
friend is like your worst enemy. And so, and plus, I grew up in the 70s and early 80s where sarcasm was the norm. That's what you do. You cut down everybody, rip on
Sure.
everybody. When Axl Rose sang about "Welcome to the Jungle,"
Yeah.
we got
That was
fun
your
and games,
experience.
but yeah, but it trashes your mind, and riddles people with insecurities, deep insecurities. And then we
Wow.
developed these dysfunctional coping strategies. And it's interesting because, you know, you said, well, I didn't have a traumatic experience as bad as yours. My dad just left and never talked to him again. That's about as bad as it gets. I mean, that's really traumatic. And
Well, that's
people
true.
form beliefs that, you know, I'm not good enough to stick around for. And then that starts to create all kinds of, oh, you're going to leave me. And then that can lead to jealousy, and that can lead to all kinds of worries and fears. And, you know, I'm going to hurt you before you hurt me. All kinds of stuff forms in our brain.
Sure.
And then we try logically to work through that, because that's what we do. We try to logically figure out how to problem solve and get to a solution. But unfortunately, with the tools that we have, most people never get to that core level of what was the unconscious belief.